We have a bombshell of a report from an NHL insider regarding a potential what if on trade deadline day for the superstars of the NHL and the Edmonton Oilers, a what could have been for the Oilers. All that more today on Oilers Digest as we also set up tonight's game against the New Jersey Devils at the Prudential Center. All that and more. But first, if you haven't subscribed to the channel already, folks, what are you waiting for? If you're part of the 76% that haven't subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below for any and all Oiler content, as we are a month away from the Stanley Cup playoffs. But when it comes to trade deadline day, Mikko was his name from David Pagnotta of the fourth period. He mentioned Edmonton as a list, or in a list of four teams that Mikko Rantanen was willing to go to. He said there was a 4-team preferred list. There were four teams that, yeah, these are top four teams that we'd like to go to. In my understanding is obviously Dallas, Florida, Toronto, and Edmonton for Mikko Rantanen. Those were the four preferred teams on this list, and I can confirm with 1,000,000% certainty that he's willing to sign in Toronto and he was willing to sign in Edmonton. Could you imagine that? The Oilers somehow swinging a deal for Mikko Rantanen from the Carolina Hurricanes to put him next to Leon Draisaitl on that right wing, but alas, it was more of a what could have been. But from Pagnotta, he said Edmonton, he would have entered those discussions because they were on his list, but they had no assets to trade, so the trade discussions, they never really evolved, not to the extent of Toronto, and certainly not of Dallas. Just taking a look at the other offers that were given to Mikko Rantanen with the Hurricanes when he was still a member of the Hurricanes roster. The Leafs reportedly made a strong push to acquire Rantanen, and there was a lot of back and forth between them and the Hurricanes. Of course, it started with a trade with Mitch Marner as the centerpiece, which he declined to waive his no-move clause, citing his desire to remain in Toronto. Then the Hurricanes asked about a package centered around Matthew Knies, to which the Leafs declined. So the Oilers, I don't think they would have gotten anywhere near that sort of trade discussions, and it's wild that the Hurricanes went to ask for Mitch Marner right off the bat there, and it's very interesting that the Leafs preferred a guy like Matthew Knies over Mikko Rantanen, but the Oilers, the assets. I mean, Matt Savoy would have been, he would have been, just the start of the trade discussions here for the Oilers, but again, a what could have been, but the final offer on Toronto's end included two prospects, the two firsts, and another piece, but it was not made clear who that was. What ultimately tipped the scales in the Stars' favor was the inclusion of a proven young NHLer in Logan Stankoven, along with the Hurricanes' preference to send Rantanen out west. Of course, in return for Rantanen, the Oilers, or not the Oilers, the Hurricanes. The Hurricanes received Logan Stankoven, a conditional first in 2026, a conditional first in 2028, and a third-round pick in both 2026 and 2027. So again, I don't think the Oilers would have went, near that at all, because not only do you have to worry about what you're going to pay Rantanen, but you also have to worry about, the construction of the rest of the team. Of course, Bouchard and McDavid, you have to worry about those contract extensions, and just, of course, a very top-heavy team, which leads to, a very subpar rest of the team, unless you get very crafty, you sort of moneyball your way to trying to find those gems for a very low price. But it's kind of nice, that, superstars around the NHL want to come to Edmonton, because as you see here, 12 years ago on the first day of, free agency, Andrew Ference, Boyd Gordon, Ryan Hamilton, Jesse Jones-Su, and Jason LaBerba. I mean, those are the types of names that Edmonton was going after, or the names that, were willing to come to Edmonton back in the decade of darkness. So Mikko Rantanen, in his willingness to come to Edmonton, is a very nice, it's a fresh breath of fresh air. But again, a what could have been in Oiler history. It's just nice to know that Mikko Rantanen had Edmonton on his mind. And you know what else is on our minds? The Oilers tonight against the New Jersey Devils. And Jeff gets his chance. Yes, Jeff Skinner will be on the second line with Leon Draisaitl tonight as the Oilers take on the Devils at 6:30 Central, 5:30 Mountain, as they continue to make their way through the tri-state area with New York and New Jersey there. But with Kris Knoblauch and the way the Oilers have been sort of acting these past couple weeks, I should add, he said, with us not playing nearly as well as we are typically playing, I got to commend the guys on the frustration level. A lot of times guys are angry and blaming the other players, but I think we've done a good job of keeping those emotions in check. And I mean, the Oilers have been down this road numerous times. So why get mad now when, there's always an opportunity to get back on the right foot here? And just taking a look at the lineup without Matthias Janmark. Yes, this is the projected lineup without Matthias Janmark. He seems to be a game time decision, but it looks like the Oilers will be rolling without him with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, Connor McDavid, and Zach Hyman. Jeff Skinner on the second line, of course, in the doghouse. Out of the doghouse, he's been flip-flopping between there. And not only that, but he's out of the bottom six tonight with Leon Draisaitl in Victor Arvidsson, hoping to get a spark out of that line with Vasily Podkolzin, Adam Henrique, and Connor Brown, and then Max Jones, Kasperi Kapanen, in Corey Perry there. And on the back end, Jake Wallman and Evan Bouchard, Darnell Nurse and Troy Stetcher, and Brett Kulak in Ty Emberson, with Stuart Skinner getting the start tonight in goal for your Edmonton Oilers. And since February 1st, the Oilers offensively not been as potent as they once were earlier in the season when they were on a roll, but Edmonton has controlled just 49.4% of expected goals and 51.9% of shot attempts at 5-on-5, going 5-8-0 as a result per the Evolving Hockey site. The Oilers have been average offensively in all situations, and no team has allowed more goals per 60 minutes in that span. While they still rank in the top 10 in shots, they sit just outside the bottom 10 in shots against there. But for the Oilers, adversity, they almost welcome adversity, according to Kris Knoblauch. I think one of our strengths is also a weakness for us. One is that I think we can handle adversity extremely well no matter what happens. We just go with it. You saw that last year in the playoffs, many times down 3-0 to Florida. The Dallas series, numerous times in Vancouver, into elimination games. I think we handled that really well. But on the flip side, when you're really good at handling adversity in your column, that means you're missing that switch to turn it on and say, all right, we need to push a little bit harder. So it's a fine line right now. I think we can push a little bit harder and be more ready for these games in playing a full 60 minutes. Could not have said it better myself. The Oilers, they need to get back into the swing of things, back into their groove before it is far too late, and they are on the opposite side of the handshake line. But just taking a look at the New Jersey Devils, third in the Metropolitan Division, trying to keep ahead of the Columbus Blue Jackets while trying to also make some pace on the Carolina Hurricanes. They're the Devils winners of their last two, winning against Philadelphia in Columbus while dropping three straight before that against three very solid teams in the West with Vegas, Dallas, and Winnipeg. Just taking a look at their lineup here without Jack Hughes and Dougie Hamilton for the rest of the season, not to mention Jonas Siegenthaler also missing the rest of the regular season. So the Devils, very injury-riddled there with their top line of Timo Meier, Nico Hischier, and Stefan Nason, Eric Hall, Cody Glass, and Jesper Bratt, Andre Palat, Dawson Mercer, and Thomas Tatar, and then Paul Cotter, Curtis Lazar, former Edmonton Oil King, and Nathan Bastian here on the back end, Luke Hughes and Brett Pesce, Brian Dumoulin and Jonathan Kovacevic, and then Brendan Dillon and Simon Nemec. And then between the pipes tonight, 34-year-old Jake Allen with the goal stands average at 2.62 and a save percentage of .910, and he was projected to be the starter tonight, and why not? As his last appearance against the Oilers, November 4th, one of the games without Connor McDavid, as he had that leg injury, 31 save shutouts against the Oilers in Edmonton here. But goaltending has been a strong suit for the Devils, but offensively, for a supposed cup contender heading into the season with their new head coach Sheldon Keefe, they have just been not that. Not only is New Jersey without its top player in Jack Hughes, but the team hasn't looked like a contender since January 1st of the new year. The Devils ranked 22nd in 5-on-5 expected goals percentage. According to Evolving Hockey, only 6 teams have scored fewer goals per 60 minutes. They also rank 17th in shot attempts and 25th in expected goals. Hardly the offensive output of a playoff threat. They all almost seem to be, going back to the old days of the neutral zone trap with Jacques Lemaire there with the Devils of old there, where it was all defense, no offense whatsoever. But the Devils and Oilers, both teams trying to get back on the right track here, and it should be a very interesting one, despite no Jack Hughes or Dougie Hamilton or no Jacob Markstrom in between the pipes here for the Devils tonight, as Oiler fans have become very, very well acquainted with Jacob Markstrom over the past few years. But that is it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments what you think about the what if with Mikko Rantanen. Do you think he could have fit with the Oilers, not just stylistically, but also cap wise? I I would be very, very curious to see what y'all have to say. But folks, enjoy the game tonight. Oilers, Devils, it's a back-to-back. We will be back to recap that one tomorrow afternoon, as well as a small preview for when the Oilers take on the New York Islanders. A very action-packed week of Oiler hockey on the East Coast. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. And folks, have a great rest of your day and enjoy the game tonight. Let's go, Oilers.